In Activate, a pick list is a powerful tool used to pick inventory from locations within your warehouse in an accurate and efficient manner. A pick list can be created for one or more sales orders. When creating the pick list, Activate generates an efficient path through your warehouse, sending you to the appropriate warehouse location based on availability. This minimizes the amount of time you spend traversing your warehouse and allows you to pick a single sales order line from one or more locations. There are 3 steps to getting started with pick lists. First, you'll need to set up locations. Second, you'll map the layout of your locations within your warehouse. Finally, you'll configure your picking options. You can add locations in the Location section of the Configuration Manager. Select the warehouse from the drop-down, then enter in the location description. The Position column is used to make mapping your warehouse easier. In your warehouse, you may have a rack with multiple shelves, each shelf with its own location description. For example, A01A may represent the bottom shelf, A01B the middle shelf, and A01C the top shelf. Since these 3 locations occupy the same footprint in the warehouse, we can simply refer to that footprint as position A01 and map the position instead. Finally, locations can be assigned a zone. Zones aren't used by pick list. However, when performing an inventory count, you can organize the count sheet by zones, so you may wish to group your locations into different zones. Locations can also be created using Activate's Warehouse Location Import to import a text or Excel file containing the location information. Now that we've created our locations, we need to map them in our warehouse. In the Layout section of Configuration Manager, we can place the locations, add boundaries such as walls, and define one-way or bi-directional pathways. If a location is associated with a position, then we'll see the single position in the Unmapped Location section. If a location is not associated with a position, then you can map the individual locations. As a reminder, location A01A, A01B, and A01C are in position A01. By mapping position A01, Activate knows that this footprint contains all 3 locations. To map, I'll simply drag and drop the position. Next, I want to add a boundary. The end of the row is a wall which the picker will need to go around in order to pick from the A01 position. Finally, I want to add a defined pathway the picker can take. In this case, it's a bidirectional pathway. When creating a pick list, Activate will generate an efficient path through the warehouse based on the pathways, boundaries, and location placement. Now that we've set up locations and mapped our warehouse, we can configure pick list options. To create pick lists, they must be enabled in the Picking section of the Configuration Manager. To review the steps we've covered in more detail, click the link to view our documentation on pick lists. Next, we have the option to create pick lists as picked in full. With this option enabled, a pick list will be created and the picked quantity will be set to match the quantity to pick. This option can be useful for companies who rely on pick lists to pick the best location and route and only want to change the picked quantity when necessary. When unchecked, you will enter the picked quantity for each line. The location priority allows you to choose how pick lists prioritize the location to pick from. Highest availability first will prioritize locations with higher availability so that the pick list includes fewer locations to pick from. Lowest availability first will prioritize locations with the lowest availability first. This option can be useful as a warehouse management strategy by depleting secondary or overflow locations first. Finally, you can choose which warehouses use pick lists. Now that we've created locations, mapped our warehouse, and configured the pick list options, we can begin using pick lists in Activate. Product B10 has 455 available across 3 warehouse locations. I'll create a single order for B10, which has 400 ordered and 400 scheduled. When pick lists are enabled and you add a product to the sales order, the location field is left blank. When the pick list is created, Activate will then assign the best location or locations to pick from. However, you can optionally assign a location to act as a default override. From this order, I'll use the Create Pick List action to create the pick list. Because I'm using the highest availability first option, the pick list will pull as much inventory as possible from the location with the highest availability, then pull from the location with the next highest availability. In this case, the pick list directs me to pick from A12C and A11C. Pick lists have their own status, which makes it easy to track the workflow step that they're in. This pick list is ready to pick. Now that we've created the pick list, the sales order line is locked so that no changes can be made to the ordered or scheduled quantity. To get started with the picking process, I can print the pick list out. Alternatively, I can use Activate Mobile to perform the pick. Whether I print the pick list or begin picking with mobile, the status changes to in progress. Similarly, the sales order is also updated to be in progress. With mobile, once I submit the pick list, the pick quantities will be updated and the status will change to picked. If you're not using mobile, you can click Edit and enter in the final picked quantities. Remember, there is a picked in full configuration option. Click Picking Completed and the pick list status will be updated to picked. Likewise, the sales order will also be updated to picked. From here, I can use Activate's Packaging Manager module to create and package a shipment for the items picked. That example showed a single order being picked from a single warehouse. To maximize efficiency, you can use PickList to pick multiple orders across multiple warehouses. In the Sales Order Manager, I'm going to start with the Ready to Pick sales orders. I will check off all of the orders and then use the Create PickList action. You will be asked if orders should be grouped into one pick list per warehouse. If you choose yes, a pick list will be created for each warehouse. If you click no, a pick list will be created for each sales order. I want multiple orders to be combined into a single pick list, so I'll click yes. When creating a pick list for multiple orders, an order column is included, which includes a key that corresponds to a specific order number. In this instance, order A corresponds to order A1486T. This order key gives you a simple way to manage the picking process. For example, any line picked for order A can go into the same box. If a lot or serial numbered item is on the pick list, and a lot or serial number wasn't already selected on the order, you'll need to pick the lot or serial number for the pick list line. You can also override or split a pick location. To override the location for a line, click the location drop-down. To split a line, enter the quantity picked from the current location, then right-click anywhere in the line and choose Split from the menu. This will split the remaining quantity to pick to another line. As you can see, PickList Picking and Activate is a powerful tool that allows you to take your efficiency to the next level.